So we can use we can sample it again, and sort of so it will look better than it did before. So now we'll go and select a yellow color, sort of like this. We'll go into our brushes and right click in the middle of the composition, click on this little arrow and find Euphoria brushes, which was also included in this tutorial, and click OK. And now we're gonna make the hair. So first of all, let's create a new layer. Let's double click on it, on the name. Let's call it hair foreground. Got an extra eye there, and sort of go randomly right here and switch them up, sort of create like a hair look for our character. So like this. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe like it's a little pony. And now we'll create a new layer, drag it down, and we'll call it hair background, and sort of make some here, maybe here, and we can double click on it to go into our layer styles and use color overlay to maybe give it sort of like a darker look, so it will look like it's behind our image, sort of like this. So now we can go into our hair foreground and use the eraser and go into its panel and select again the brush we were using to sort of delete parts we don't want, sort of like this part, and make sure your opacity and the flow set to 100%. So we'll delete this area right here and maybe select a different one to delete that. Maybe not as much. Yeah, looks pretty good. Now next we wanna sort of add a color dimension to it, sort of like in here, this cool glow. By the way, those tricks I told you can watch this tutorial how to create them and add them to your picture, which we won't do in this tutorial. So maybe let's add a little bit more hair to our character by going into the brushes and sort of clicking using different strokes, different brushes, like this, and maybe again with the eraser to sort of correct it. Okay, that I think looks good enough. Now we want to create a new layer, and let's call it color, and we'll go into our brushes again and we'll click this little arrow and go into basic brushes. We'll select the 12 brush because it's the hardest one and make it a little bit bigger, sort of like this, and make sure you were on the brushes while you did that. So we'll do it again, and what it will do, it will give you a hard-edged brush, sort of like this. So we want to make it just a bit bigger. We'll do it here. So now we'll go into our colors and let's select radical colors like red, sort of just do points here, and we'll go again and select maybe green, sort of here, and maybe purple, to sort of fill in your composition with different colors, to sort of to create like a gradient between them, and I'll show you how in a sec, though if you watched the tutorial before you'll know. So now that we have that, we'll go into filter, blur, and this blur we'll pull it up sort of like this and press OK. Now we want to duplicate our colors, and holding down Alt, we'll drag it back underneath all of our layers like this, and let's shut it off for now. Go back to our color and maybe add another blur to it. So we'll go into filter and we'll do the same actually to make it really blurry. Press OK. Now we want to change the color mode, so we'll go into the color modes and select soft light, or maybe we'll select hard light. We'll stick with the soft light. So as you can see, it sort of affected our image, and now if we'll turn on our color, and let's name it color background, and again we'll add another blur to it. And maybe lower the opacity like this, so you can barely see it, but it's there. Now another cool thing you can do after of course you saved it, let's go into file, save as, we'll call it blue girl, and save. You can select all of the layers, maybe besides this color background. Holding down Alt will duplicate them, and right click and we'll merge them together. So now we have this all of our layers in one layer. So we'll go into filter and we'll blur them out. Maybe a less radical blur, sort of like this. And we can go into eraser and select a softer brush, make it bigger to ease the edges, and maybe let's lower the opacity and the flow a bit, like this. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And now if we'll turn back our layers, we'll see it has sort of like a glow to it. And maybe we'll shut off the color background and delete a bit more. Sort of like this. So that's about it, how to create this cool effect. You can use it for flyers or pictures or whatever that you want, sort of like a vector cool effect. Keep checking into my blog for more tutorials. See you next time.